When you started writing it, you always were going to write a second book?
Well, I actually began it years ago, and I conceived of it. I actually wrote a much bigger piece, and then I mean it actually became a big story. And then when I approached my publisher about it, he kind of suggested, well, maybe we could actually. There were some natural divisions in it. And he said maybe we can do it as more of a series than as just a a single kind of hulking standalone book. Because I mean. There was a lot in the publishing industry. You really are typecast, as we mentioned we were talking about it earlier, and this is kind of a departure for me. So it they publishers and agents kind of wanted me to kind of do these downtown novels that I can't do anymore.
So each excuse me, each one of these books will be as surreal as this, or more so, or?
Well, I think the second one has a different tone to it, but they're all kind of out there. They're all a little bit it's a little bit different in terms of some of the rules that
I mean, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Manhattan Loverboy in the extent that there's a lot of surrealism in that as well.
Yeah, right. There you go. So, and there's that. Anyway, yeah.
What was going on in the warehouse? Is that going to be explained in future books?
Oh,
are we pretty much done with that story?
You mean the
whole sex warehouse nighttime thing?
Oh wait, you read it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, the sex thing. I'm not used to people reading my.
Sorry, it's easy.
That's going to be kind of explained later a little bit. I mean, I'll be returning to that. Yeah. So, did you like the sex scene in the warehouse?
Yeah, it was awesome.
But it seems like they actually remember that they have sex, or that's a little ambiguous whether they know what they were doing or they were like kind of.
Or the women don't.
For those of you who haven't read it, I mean, just to fill you in, he kind of joins this kind of cult. You feel free to help me.
Jehovah's Witnesses or something.
Yeah, kind of like Jehovah. Well, yeah, I guess like Jehovah's Witnesses, and he kind of finds that something strange is going on with these very kind of. Well, not necessarily repressed, maybe a little repressed people, and they kind of have sex at night, and they seem to be totally out of it, and don't acknowledge it in the morning. Is that a fair summary? Or? Yeah. So, yeah, yes, that happens. Yeah. So, yeah, that's addressed more.
Okay.
So.
Since you're going in a sort of a science fiction direction, is there a particular influence on you in terms of books or films from your past or recent that has caused you to go off on a science or sci-fi sort of track? Or?
Well, it's interesting because what do you got there? Oh, you don't show it to me. I mean, I don't get self-conscious here. Anyway, I mean, just it's amazing how the literary vogue seems to be moving more and more that direction. I mean, there's so many writers that just have introduced these kind of elements of the surreal and magical, and so, and even I mean it's across culture entirely. I mean, so I don't know if there's any one particular influence. So just a lot of crazy stuff out there. I mean, and just reality itself. I mean, I still can't believe Bush is president. So things like that just kind of trying to wake up from the dream. So yeah.
What made you choose that passage as the one you read?
Oh, torture and suspense, and I don't know. It kind of seemed like an interesting little piece. It had some velocity to it. So, did it seem like a decent passage? What passage would you have read if you were me? Anything come to mind?
That one's definitely like one of the most shocking ones.
Oh.
Like, the breaking of the neck is like makes me cringe. So.
People love that stuff. They'll never forgive the CIA for erasing all those torture tapes. Anyway.
But so you said you're done writing books about downtown?
Well, no, not necessarily. Not necessarily. I mean, by the way, just to go back a little, something occurred to me that I wanted to. The CIA in the 70s did this whole. There were a series of, and this is going to come up in book 2, but there were a series of scientific projects that the CIA was behind called basically the MKUltra. MK Ultra was the code name, and they were all erased and destroyed by Richard Helms in the 70s, and they dealt with all these incredible they were like almost science fiction-y in nature, and and I plan to kind of use that this huge bizarre. One thing that came out of that. I mean, one of the only criminal charges was one guy was kind of made into a guinea pig against his will, and he was given just an intense dosage of LSD, and he kind of jumped out a window. But that was part of this whole, bizarre project. So anyway, the point is that I kind of used a little bit of that. So just to give you some. Anyway, yeah, about the downtown thing, I don't know. I don't have any real, We'll see where things go.
Why did you make Staten Island a sewage dump?
Because, up until they closed the landfill, you ever go out there, you see those huge mountains it was a huge mountains and mountains of garbage that they put this soil and grass on top of, and, I mean, well, that, and also it kind of made sense in the book. I mean, it was kind of illogical, so. I mean, and the next book is going to, the title of the next book will deal with kind of the Bronx, by the way. So, yeah. The working title is kind of the sacrificial circumcision of the Bronx. And it deals to somebody with the Cross Bronx Expressway, and Robert Moses becomes more of a prominent character. So, yeah. So.
It's interesting because there's plenty of landfill up there too that they built on, and the whole Soundview area, Pelham Bay.
Is that right?
Well, Pelham Bay used to be a dumping ground, and it allegedly was toxic dumping, a lot of cancer now.
Wow.
And the Soundview area too. I mean, I worked in a school where like several teachers ended up contracting cancer while working there. There's a lot of psychological issues with the students over there also.
God. These cluster sites, yeah. There you go, man.
Do the marijuana fields ever become part of the storyline?
Well,
It's so big on the map, and then it was never.
I know. Well, it rounded out the head, the fetus look of the book. I think that they, made it kind of, you have to make it kind of you have to have some kind of head thing there. So, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. You give me all these things to work with. I don't. Maybe. Anyway. Well. Anyone else have any questions? Or?
I just want to voice a comment that I believe that it's a serious oversight on the film industry to have overlooked your work so far.
Oh.
In terms of the quality of the novels that you're putting out there and the fluff that we get in terms of New York movies. So let's just hope that...
It might be a blessing in disguise, though. I mean, look at the crap that they come out with. So, I mean, I don't know.
Once they buy something good, they turn it into garbage.
You can't really recognize it. The first company that optioned the fuck up, they sent me a script that it was kind of the fuck up goes to Canada. Trees were like a prominent part of the book. It made no sense at all, and they had like the character wore long johns a lot and stuff like. So it was like. I don't know. I can't really. It's difficult to imagine some of these books outside of the New York environment. So, I don't. And as I mentioned earlier, Disney optioned the fuck up before that, and in the contract was the contract to option the book was that if they they were allowed to use they were allowed to create greeter characters, the Eponius, the fuck up greeter character in older Disneyland franchises. So it would have been a nice guy covered in vomit or something.
Hey, mommy, that's the fuck up.
Yeah, there's like a standard contract in older, which I thought was kind of charming. Anyway, well,
have you been on tour like around the country with this?
Yeah.
How's it playing outside of New York? How's it?
I don't know. It was. I mean, we had good responses, but of course, I toured with Lydia Lunch, so a lot of the people were, I think, there for her. She had some pretty scary-looking fans. Anyway, yeah, she had fans who had like tattoos of her on their body.
Do you have any fans with tattoos of you on their body?
No, unfortunately, no. I don't want that kind of fan. Anyway, I don't want to be loved that much. Anyway. Well, anyways. Well, on this cold night, thank you again for all coming. I really appreciate it, and thanks again to Bluestocking, whoever there. Thanks again for having us, and thanks for coming.